press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello everyone. So myself Sayyida Reshma. So I am going to take the last chapter of your physical chemistry, that is surface chemistry. Surface chemistry. Right. So this surface chemistry chapter is very important. It carries, it is of 6 hours. Totally 6 hour syllabus is there, and then we are going to get a 5-mark question, that is I think question number 31, that is of the form 2 plus 2 plus 1 or 3 plus 2, like that you are going to get. Sometimes you may get 1 marks question here. Totally it is having 5 marks only. And then for your competitive exams, for NEET if you take, the question has been regularly asked from 2016 up to 2019, okay, 2020 also, 2020 also one question has been asked. So that's why one of the important chapter this is, that is nothing but surface chemistry. It is very useful not only in case of your chemistry, but also in case of biochemistry, or you can say the biological processes, right? So what is this that is surface chemistry, what it deals with if you go. So this surface chemistry is a branch of chemistry which deals with the study of phenomena that takes place on the surfaces, phenomenon that takes place on the surfaces. That means to say it is a branch, it is the branch of chemistry, that deals with the phenomenon taking place on the surface. So that branch of chemistry is called as surface chemistry. Now you should understood what is the meaning of this surface, how you are going to represent. Say if you take a solid substance, upon that if a gas or a liquid is added, then what happens? There develops an imaginary line between. Say if the substance is completely soluble in that one, say if you are taking solid liquid, means if the solid is completely soluble in the liquid, you call that one as a true solution. There will be no interface. We are not going to see the separation, right? But if you take others, that is nothing but if you take the gas into liquid, or you can have the example of water and oil, that you can call that one as emulsion. In all such cases, we are going to see a gap, or you can say we are going to see a boundary between that two substances. So we call that interface, we call that one as interface, that we are going to represent as solid gas, or you can represent that one as solid liquid. If we are adding a liquid on the surface of the solid, then there will be a boundary, imaginary boundary between them. What do you call for that one? That is nothing but the, what you call in our biochem, that is nothing but your surface chemistry, we call that one as the interface, right? Interface. We are going to represent with the help of an hyphen, or you can represent with the help of a slash also. Solid liquid, say for example. How to read this one? Solid liquid interface. How to read this one? Solid liquid interface. But if you take a gaseous mixture, you cannot represent gas interface, like that you cannot represent. Do you know why? Because gases we cannot represent it, gas interface cannot be represented. Why? Because what is the reason for that one? Because they are completely miscible. Because they are completely miscible with each other, there will be no interface. Miscible with each other, there will be no interface between the gas and the gas. They are homogeneous in mixture. They are just like our true solution. That means to say, except true solution and the gas mixture, all other any two substance, they possess what? Interface. Why these cannot possess the interface? Because they are completely miscible with each other because of their homogeneous nature. So understood what is the meaning of the interface, right? So next move on to this surface phenomenons. So in order to discuss or in order to study the surface phenomenons, we should have a ultra pure surface. So what is required to study the surface phenomenon? Because all the phenomenons are taking place on the surface. What is required? So that is ultra pure surfaces are required to study these surface phenomenons. So how you are going to get these surface phenomenon? So that is ultra pure surface means by decreasing the pressure. By decreasing the pressure and increasing and at high vacuum. Okay, so the pressure should be minus 10 power 8 to minus 10 power 9 Pascal. 10 power minus 8 to 10 power minus 9 Pascal. That much low pressure will create high vacuum. Under that we are going to get what? Ultra pure surfaces. So without them we cannot achieve the surface phenomenon. Right. So and then after creating these ultra pure surfaces, they should be properly stored. They should be properly stored. Again, where we can store? We can store under the high vacuum. Why? Once the ultra pure surfaces are prepared, no, so they may act upon by oxides like dinitrogen and dioxygen. So in order to prevent those ultra pure surfaces, by the action of these oxides, we should store the ultra pure surfaces at a very low pressure or at high vacuum of 10 power minus 8 to 10 power minus 9. So I will give the example, just you know about this reaction. Let us take the very familiar reaction, that is N2 plus 3H2 into G plus 3H2G. So what it will form? It will form into 2NH3, that is again a gas. So it takes place in the presence of a catalyst, that is nothing but the iron catalyst. Right? So here in order to get this reaction, this that is nothing but iron, it should be absorbed on a solid substance. Are you getting? These reactants are found to absorb on the surface of this iron catalyst. Right? So then the surface of this iron should be what? Ultra pure. Before you are allowing the reactant on the surface of this catalyst, so the surface of that catalyst should be ultra pure. Right? So without that you cannot absorb these nitrogen and hydrogen, whatever it may be the catalytic reaction, you can take. The surface of the catalyst should be ultra pure before conducting the reaction. That we can do by decreasing the pressure and creating a high vacuum, usually that is at a pressure of 10 power minus 8 to 10 power minus 9 Pascal. This is very important point, how you are going to get the ultra pure surfaces. So by decreasing the pressure and increasing the vacuum. Example, the pressure should be 10 power minus 8 to 10 power minus 9 Pascal. Right? Are you getting the concept? Next, move on to the next concept. So here, what are all the examples that we can give for this surface phenomena? We are having so many examples because this surface chemistry is very useful in case of the industrial field as well as the daily life also. Okay, in our daily life also, so many examples we can give for this surface phenomenon. Okay, let us take up some of the examples for these surface phenomenon. They may be, the first one you can have this one, that is nothing but crystallization. Crystallization. So what it is an example for surface phenomenon. So you know about crystallization, how you are going to do this one. So you are going to take a solid or solute and made to dissolve in a suitable solvent, right? And you are going to make the saturated solution, then you are going to heat that one, and if you keep for cool, that pure crystals of this you are going to get. So for that, what is that crystallization? It is a surface phenomenon. It is a surface phenomenon. Then you can have the dissolution. Dissolution, that is solubility of a solid substance into a liquids, right? Dissolution, that is also an example. Or you can have the heterogeneous catalysis. Heterogeneous catalysis. So in detail we are going to discuss further in this chapter under the heading catalysis. So what the example I have given earlier, no, that is N2 plus 3H2. It is gaseous, it is also gaseous. What about the catalyst you are going to use is nothing but the iron, it is in the solid state. If the reactant and the catalyst are in a different phase, so you can observe the reaction. These two are in the gaseous state, whereas the catalyst is in the solid state. Such type of catalytic reactions are called as heterogeneous catalysis. That is also an example for surface phenomenon. Likewise, we can have one more example of corrosion. Corrosion. This is also example for surface phenomenon. What is that? Corrosion. That is the loss of metal by the action of moisture and or you can say air. Right? So you can have the rusting example, that is corrosion. So metal will be lost here. And you can have the example of electrode process. Electrode process, right? So you know about the deposition of one metal over the surface of the another metal. That is also a what example for what, that is surface chemistry. So many examples you can give the surface phenomenon, right? So you have to note down these. These are all the example for surface phenomenon. It has been clearly given in the textbook. Crystallization, dissolution, heterogeneous catalysis, corrosion and electrode process, etc. are the example for the surface phenomenon. I hope you understood up to this. Next, in this chapter, we are going to discuss about, this is the introduction to the surface chemistry. So here in this chapter, you are going to discuss about the phenomena like the new concept adsorption. Adsorption. Then the second one what we are going to discuss here is catalysis. Yes, what we are going to discuss the second one? Catalysis. And the third is nothing but the colloids. Third one is nothing but the colloids. So these are the topics that we are going to cover in this chapter. Right? So let us take up one by one. The first one, that is nothing but the adsorption. See, look at the spelling. It is ADSORPTION, adsorption. Okay, so let me define this one. What is this adsorption? The first one we are taking now, or just I will rub this one. So thereby I can continue from this one. Okay, the process of, it is the process of, I will go for the bookish definition itself. The process of accumulation. The process of accumulation of molecular species. Molecular species. The process of accumulation of molecular species on the surface. On the surface. Rather than in the bulk, rather than in the bulk of a solid or liquid is called adsorption. is called, yes, what it is called? It is called adsorption. This is the definition. So you familiar with the absorption? It is what I am explaining now here. It is adsorption, AD, right? So just I will repeat, the process of accumulation of molecular species on the surface rather than in the bulk of a solid or liquid is called adsorption. Right. So you are familiar with it. Let me give you a simple example. What you can be see in your daily life. Right. Suppose you are having a sponge. So not sponge, just we are giving the example for adsorption. You are having a piece of chalk. Right. If you drop into the ink and if you remove this one, so after some time, if you cut this chalk, inside of the chalk there will be no ink, but outside of the chalk there will be ink. Outside of the chalk will be blue in color because I dipped in blue ink, right? But there is no ink inside. So this adsorption of ink takes place only on the surface. So that is called as what? Adsorption. So what is that? The process of accumulation of molecular species. What are molecular species here? Ink on the surface of what? Chalk piece, rather than in the bulk. What is the meaning of bulk? Inside the chalk there is no what? Ink. That process is called as, that may be on the surface of a solid or on the surface of the liquid. I already told in the beginning, we are going to see the interface only on the solid or the liquid, not in case of what? Not in case of the gas, right? So usually, so the surface may be either of solid or it may be of liquid, right? So that is called as adsorption. So there are some terminologies what we are going to see in case of this one. Let us discuss one by one. First one is nothing but the adsorbate. What is the first one? Adsorbate. Right. So what is this adsorbate that we are going to discuss? Yes. So this adsorbate may be the gas. It may be the gas or liquid. Gas or liquid. Don't read this one as gas, solid in it is R actually. Okay, gas or liquid. That adsorbed on the surface. Adsorbed on the surface of a substance. Usually that substance may be, if it is gas or liquid, means that substance is usually what? Solid. So in the phenomenon adsorption, the substance which is going to be adsorbed, that is called as what? Adsorbate. Remember this one, adsorbate. Right? In the chalk piece case, ink is the adsorbate because this is the substance that adsorb on the surface of chalk piece. That is the substance. Likewise, you can have, see, so many examples we can give for this one. You can have silica gel. Sorry, this is the surface, no? So you can have the example of ink, as I said, or you can have the example of colors that we are going to see later on. Or you can have the example of gases, that may be nitrogen, that may be the oxygen, right? So likewise, so many examples you can give for this one. So likewise, you can have one more terminology that is called as adsorbent. Look at the spelling, adsorbent, A-D-S-O-R-B-E-N-T. What is this adsorbent? Okay, the surface. It is the surface on which the process of adsorption takes place. The process of adsorption takes place, or you can say this one as the surface on which the adsorbate get adsorbed, like that. That is the process. That is the adsorption of adsorbate on the adsorbent is called as the adsorption. Is that clear? So I repeat, the surface on which the process of adsorption takes place is called as what? Adsorbent. So here now, so what is nothing but your chalk piece is nothing but the adsorbent. And what is the ink that is adsorbed on the surface of this one is nothing but the adsorbate. Is nothing but the adsorbate. Let me explain with the help of one more example. You can have, say for example, you are having a container, right? So you are having the animal charcoal. What it is? It is animal charcoal. So you are a true vegetarian means you can have simply the charcoal also. Okay, here I am taking the animal charcoal as an example, and if I allow the gaseous mixture, so what happens? So the gaseous molecules will get adsorbed on the surface of this animal charcoal. So what this animal charcoal acts as? It acts as adsorbent. It acts as adsorbent. What about these gases? These are gases, right? They act as what? Adsorbate. I think it's clear now. Adsorbate. The surface on which the adsorption takes place is nothing but the adsorbent. And the substance which is going to be adsorbed on the surface is called as the adsorbate. So if you take the animal charcoal and a mixture of gases, the gases will adsorb on the surface of what? That animal charcoal. So animal charcoal act as adsorbent and the gases act as what? Adsorbate. Is that clear now? Yes, so many examples we can give for this one. One more you can have, say you are having a dye that is nothing but the methylene blue dye. So what is that? Methylene blue dye. One more example I am giving, methylene blue. Name itself indicate what is the color of this dye. This is the dye, right? If you are having a container, in that container you are having an animal charcoal, right? And if you are adding the what? Methylene blue. So it is a solution, right? So the charcoal will become blue, whereas the solution, no, the dye is there, no, it will become colorless, because the phenomenon of adsorption has taken place here. So which is the adsorbent here? Adsorbent is again your animal charcoal, right? Which is the adsorbate? That is the color, right? The dye has been adsorbed, right? So likewise you can have so many examples. So this adsorption we can use to decolorize sugar. One more example we can have, decolorize the sugar. In order to decolorize the sugar also you can use this one. So during the manufacture of sugar from sugarcane juice, no, you are going to get yellow color. So if you get yellow color sugar from the market, can you take? No, it may be contaminated because it is colored. Sugar means what comes in our eyes or in front of our eyes? It should be white, pure, right? How they can do? During processing they are going to decolorize the sugar. How? By adding again animal charcoal. What they are going to use there? Animal charcoal. So again it acts as an adsorbent, and the color which is adsorbed on the surface of this one is nothing but the adsorbate. Are you getting the concept now? So these are all some of the example what we can give for adsorption there, which is the adsorbent and which is the adsorbate. That is very important, right? The surface on which the adsorption takes place is adsorbent, and the substance which is adsorbed is called as the what? Adsorbate. Together they will constitute the phenomenon that is called as what? Adsorption. Are you getting the concept now? Is it clear? Yes, so many examples we can give for adsorption. Right. Now, after knowing this one, let us take up some other terminologies that we should know. That is nothing but desorption. What is the next concept? Desorption. Yes, as the name itself indicates, de means removal. Absorption means adsorb substance. So it is the process of removing and adsorb substance from the surface of adsorbent, right? So this is called as what? Desorption. It is a reverse of what? Adsorption. In case of adsorption, you are going to adsorb the substance, right, on the surface of adsorbent. But what you are doing here? You are removing an adsorbed substance. The substance is already adsorbed, right? You are removing that from the surface of that adsorbent. In case of this one, that is nothing but gaseous mixture and animal charcoal. So what you have to do, by increasing the pressure, you have to remove that gases from the surface of the animal charcoal. And then in case of decolorization of sugar, you have to remove the color from the charcoal and you add to the sugar. So in some cases this is required. Or you can have this one, catalytic reactions. So once the reactants are adsorbed, right, there is a formation of products. The products should be dissolved from the surface. Thereby the catalyst can be reused, like that, right? So for the reuse of catalyst, there should be a process called as desorption. So that desorption. So when we have to remove that one? Once the reactants has been given rise to the products. After that, you have to remove that one. So what process you can apply for that one? That is called as desorption. Just I repeat the definition. The process of removing an adsorbed substance from the surface of an adsorbent. Right. So let us move on to the one more terminology that what we are going to discuss here, that is called as sorption, or you can say that one as sorption, or sorption, sorption. Okay, it is the process during which both adsorption and sorption, so that is desorption, adsorption and desorption take place simultaneously. So that process is called as what? That process is called as sorption, a process during which both adsorption and desorption takes place simultaneously. Yes, very good example we can have for this one. Very simple concept. So if you take the soil surface, and if you allow the water molecule to pass into this one, so what they will do? They will occupy, or they will present first on the surface of this soil. They will form a layer on the surface of the soil, and if there are some gaps or some grooves, then what happens? The water will enter inside of the soil also through these channels. We can call that one as these channels. Water will also absorb in the inside of this soil. So on the surface of the you can say this one, that is nothing but water that is present on the surface, that is adsorption, right? So once it enter into the water that's from the surface, it has been removed and it has entered into the inside of the soil. What do you call for that one? Desorption. Both are occurring simultaneously, adsorption and desorption. Such a phenomenon is called as what? Sorption, right? The process during which both adsorption and desorption takes place simultaneously is called sorption. So these are some of the terminologies what we are going to use in this surface phenomenons that is adsorbate, adsorbent, then desorption, sorption. So, and then you should know there is one phenomenon that is called as, there is one more phenomenon that is called as absorption. AB, that is, what is the next phenomenon? That is absorption. What is that absorption? You are familiar with this absorption, right? So, what phenomenon I am going to discuss? Just a knowledge. It is not required here, but you have to differentiate between adsorption and absorption. For that you should know what is this absorption, right? If you take a sponge and if you drop into the water and if you remove, what happens? So, the water will not only present on the surface of the sponge, but also it has been entered into the inside. What you call for the inside part? That is nothing but bulk. That is, this is a phenomenon. Okay, what is this? It is a bulk phenomenon. It is a bulk phenomenon. Bulk phenomenon. Bulk phenomenon where one substance uniformly distributed, one substance uniformly distributed on surface as well as bulk. So, understood the meaning of absorption, AB? So, it is a bulk phenomenon where one substance is uniformly distributed on surface as well as the bulk. Right? I have taken the example of sponge and water. So, water not only present on the surface, it will always also enter into the bulk and uniformly distributed. See, it is not like that higher at the surface and lesser inside, but it is stored uniformly distributed. Right? So, that is called as what? Absorption, sponge in water. Or you can have the example of anhydrous calcium chloride. It is a very good dehydrating agent. Right? If you take the anhydrous calcium chloride, so it will absorb the moisture content. I am telling absorb, not adsorb. Right? It absorbs the moisture content. So that we can give the example for this one. What is that? Absorption. So it is a bulk phenomenon. Likewise, if you differentiate between, sometimes this question has been came in theory, differences, write any two differences between absorption and adsorption. It is a bulk phenomenon mean, what about this one? It is a surface phenomenon. It is a surface phenomenon. Right? So, here there is uneven distribution of one substance, uneven distribution of one substance on other substance, one substance on other substance. So, there is no uniform distribution because the molecules will be more on the surface. The molecules will be more on the surface and less inside the what? Bulk of that one. They are not at all present inside the bulk. They are not uniformly distributed. That is the concept. Are you getting? So, it is a bulk phenomenon. It is a surface phenomenon. Here there is a uniform distribution of one substance over the other. Here there is no uniform distribution, or you can call that one as uneven distribution of one substance over the other substance. So, what the example I have given here for absorption? So, absorption of moisture by anhydrous calcium chloride. You done this one, right? So, during the detection of carbon and hydrogen by Liebig's method, you are going to use the guard tube. In that guard tube, what you are going to take? Anhydrous calcium chloride. It prevents the entry of moisture into the cell, right? That one. Why we are using that one? Because it will absorb the moisture, calcium chloride. likewise, you can give the example. So this is not a difference, just I am giving the example. These two are enough, right? So here, if you take this one, that is nothing but that is adsorption. I am taking adsorption of moisture by silica gel. I think I didn't told about this silica gel in the beginning. This is an example for your adsorbent. As you know about animal charcoal, no? Silica gel is also an example. Alumina is an example. Catalyst are example. All of these, they are providing the surfaces for the process to take place. Likewise, this silica gel is what? It is a very good adsorbent. It helps in the adsorption of moisture. It is what? Absorption of moisture. It is adsorption of moisture. Don't get confused. So, example for adsorption, silica gel. And example for this one, absorption, is nothing but your anhydrous calcium chloride. So, very specific, you should be very specific while using the terminologies, that is whether it is absorption or adsorption. But if you come to the surface chemistry, we are discussing only about that phenomenon, that is nothing but the adsorption. That you should be very clear, right? So, next. Flowing all this, see, I told about this silica gel. So, whenever you are going to get some substances from your markets, so you are going to see small pouches. I can give the example of water bottles. If you take water bottles, inside the water bottles, newly purchased water bottle from the market, you are going to see a small sachet like, small bag like, and you are going to remove, you are going to discard that one and you are going to use the water bottles. What are those small bags? So, they consist of silica gels. They consist of silica gel, because if they are not keeping that one inside that water bottle, there will be a bad smell, bad odor inside that bottles. In order to absorb those gases or poisonous gases, or you can say, so what you are going to use, they are going to use the silica gel. Right, it absorbs that bad smell. So that's why they are going to keep that small sachets. So many items, not only the water bottles, so many other items what you are going to get from the market, you are having this supplied, they are supplied with small sachets. What they are nothing but the silica gels. Right, and you can have the example for this adsorption. One more thing, yes, in minings, right, in minings, you know how difficult process that is. They are going underground. So, there during mining, so many poisonous gases will be released. So, then that has to lead to the death of those miners, but that will not happen, because they wear some special masks. Those masks consist of our animal charcoal that helps in the adsorption of poisonous gases. Or else you can have the example of this traffic control authorities. Nowadays everyone is wearing masks, but that mask that is weared by the traffic control authority, it is having supplied with the charcoal that helps in the absorption of absorption of poisonous gases, and it helps in the those traffic controllers in order to avoid that pollution that what they are going to face in that traffic. Right? Yes, I think you understand all those example with reference to adsorption. Yes, this difference between absorption and adsorption also. Yes, let us move on to the mechanism. Mechanism of adsorption. Next concept is mechanism of adsorption. Yes, very important concept. This is mechanism of adsorption, right? So, if you take the mechanism of this adsorption, let us have a container. Let us have a container which is having gaseous molecules. So, the gaseous molecule will present on the surface as well as the bulk, right? So, if you take this one, this particle, it is surrounded by all other particles of same kind. All other particles of same kind. So, this molecule, suppose some molecule is there, it will attract this one towards and this will attract, and this will attract, this will also attract. So the net forces acting on this particle, which is at the bulk, will be 0. Or you can say the forces are balanced. Balanced forces we are going to see when the molecule is in the bulk. When the molecule is in the bulk, there will be a balanced forces because it is present at the center. Right? So that is the concept. So but if you take a molecule at the surface, if you take the molecule at the surface, then what happens? It is attracted from one side. It is attracted from one side. There will be no force of attraction from other side. So then what happens? So there will always be a tension at the surface. Tension at the surface. You learn this one. Surface tension. There will be depression at the surface of a liquid. If you are taking that one on the surface inside a container, right? Why? Because there are some forces which are dragging this. So what we call those forces as, they are called as surface forces. Surface forces, or you can call that one as residual forces. Residual forces. They are what? Unbalanced. They are unbalanced forces. Right? So there will be what? The absorption of the adsorbate on the surface of the adsorbent. Why this molecule has been adsorbed on the surface means because there is some force which is dragging this one. Right? So that is the cause for what? Adsorption. That is an actual mechanism of adsorption. So in the bulk there is unbalanced forces, there is a balanced forces because it is attracted by all other molecules of the same kind. So the net force acting on that particle will be 0. But if you take the particle on the surface, it is free from one side and it is attracted from one side. So that's why there will be unbalanced forces. Those are called as surface forces, or we can call them as residual forces, which are responsible for the adsorption of adsorbent on the adsorption of adsorbent on the adsorbate on the adsorbent, adsorbate on the adsorbent. Right? So that is, and there will always be a tension on the surface. This is the cause. And then if you take this adsorption, that is very important concept here. Adsorption is exothermic. What is the nature of this adsorption? Adsorption is exothermic. That's why delta H will always be negative. As there is a decrease in the residual forces, those forces will come out in the form of heat. Those forces will come out in the form of heat. So that's why we call that reaction as exothermic reaction. So adsorption is always exothermic. And then the second point, what you can note down here. So there is a decrease in the entropy. Decrease in the entropy. How you are going to represent the change in the entropy as delta S? What is the meaning of entropy? The change, that is a randomness or the disorderness. Randomness or the disorderness is called as what? Entropy. So it will always be decreased. That means to say it is also negative. Why? Because see what happened actually. So if there is no adsorption means the molecules will be free. Right? If there is an adsorption means what happens? These free molecules means there will be more entropy. Entropy will be very high. But if the adsorption has been taking place means the movement of the molecule has been restricted because they come on the surface of this adsorbent. Whatever it may be animal charcoal, it may be silica gel, it may be catalyst, whatever it may be. Don't bother. Just remember this is adsorbent, this is nothing but the adsorbate. Now what happens to the movement of this molecule? It has been stopped, it has been restricted. That means to say its disorderness, its randomness, its entropy will decrease. Entropy will decrease. So during adsorption, the value of entropy will always be negative. And then if you take this adsorption, it is spontaneous in nature. Once you start, it will go continuously by itself. You know about spontaneous process. So because of this, the value for delta G is also decreases. Delta G is also, the change in the free energy is also negative. If you relate or if you go to the equation, delta G is equal to delta H minus T into delta S, what you learn in case of your thermodynamics. So here the delta G value should be negative, means they should be high negative value for what? Delta H, because minus T into delta S will be positive, right? So if you want to get this delta G as negative, it should be more and more what? Negative. Then because this is plus into minus, because delta S is also negative, plus into minus will become positive. So if you want to get a negative value here, means this should be very high, negative. These two are factors responsible for the spontaneity of the adsorption. Very important point. So but as the temperature, this will happen only at low temperature. But as the temperature increases, so what happens? The value of this delta G, delta H negative value will decreases, and there is a state that the value of this delta H is equal to the value of delta T into S. Then what happens to delta G? Delta G will become 0. When it will become 0? When delta H is equal to delta T into delta S, it will become 0. So what is the meaning of this? It means that the state that is called as equilibrium has been reached. Meaning of this is that equilibrium state has been reached when delta G is equal to 0. When this will happen? When delta H is equal to T into delta S. Then if it is 1, it is 1. 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. Delta G is equal to 0. Delta G is 0 means what is the meaning of that? Equilibrium. So this is very important concept what I discussed. So then what we can summarize or how we can conclude this concept? I think you understood this concept. So what is the mechanism of adsorption? This you should write. And then, so during adsorption is always exothermic, because there is a decrease in the residual forces. Those forces will come out in the form of what? Heat energy. That's why delta H is negative. And there is a decrease in the entropy, because the particles are, their movement has been decreased when they are adsorbed. So delta S is negative. And as this adsorption is spontaneous, delta Hg should always be negative. You know this concept. Here delta G positive means non-spontaneous. Delta G negative means what? It should be spontaneous. So then we can relate this concept in the equation. That is what you call for this equation. It is Gibbs-Helmholtz equation. Delta G is equal to delta H minus T into delta S. In order to get delta G as negative, it should be more and more negative, because it is a positive value. That by you are going to get a negative, and then that indicate the spontaneous nature of this adsorption. And then when this value decreases at a temperature variation, so then what particular time it will become equal to T into delta S, then the value will become 0. If delta G is equal to 0, we have to understood that equilibrium state has been reached. Further adsorption will not take place. Rate of adsorption is equal to rate of desorption. Like that also you can count for that one. Yes, understood this one? So that is this we can say thermodynamics of adsorption. Likewise also you can understood. So and one more important, or we can summarize this one as the adsorption accompanied with the decrease in, this is very important point, decrease in enthalpy. In the brackets you can have delta H is negative, delta H is equal to negative, meaning of the sentence. Then the decrease in entropy, that you can write as delta S is equal to negative, and decrease in free energy. Decrease in what? Free energy. Decrease in free energy. Decrease in free energy. How you can write that one? Delta G is equal to, or else I will write here, delta G is equal to negative. All are negative. It may be delta S, delta G or delta H. All are negative. That is the thermodynamics of adsorption. Okay. So then if you move on to the what types of adsorptions. If you move on to the types of adsorption, depending upon types of adsorption is the types of adsorption. So the first one is physical adsorption. The second one is chemical adsorption. So this is also called as physisorption. Physical adsorption is also called as physisorption, and chemical adsorption is also called as chemisorption. So this may come in the theory for 2 to 3 marks. Write or mention any 3 differences between physisorption and chemisorption, because in this chapter we are going to get 2 differences. So one is this one and one more is there in that we are going to discuss in case of colloids, right? So this classification of adsorption is based on the type of molecular forces between the adsorbent and the adsorbate. By what forces the adsorbate has been adsorbed on the surface of what? The adsorbent. So it has been classified into physical adsorption and chemical adsorption. On the basis of what? Types of. It is on the basis of types of interactions between adsorbate and adsorbent. This is the classification. Whether they are van der Waals forces, whether they are covalent forces, whether they are ionic forces, that. Simply, if you take one substance, if you are taking animal charcoal and you are absorbing the gases, means there should be some force between that gases and the that animal charcoal. Without any attractive forces, that will fall off, that will not get present on the surface of that. So there should be some forces. So what type of forces those are? Based on that, we classifying that the adsorption into physical adsorption and chemical adsorption. So that we are going to discuss in the next class. Okay, thank you.